The reward. No one wanted. The war was finally over. The human soldiers stood in line, dirty, bruised, and tired. Explosions had stopped. The enemy base had fallen. Commander Briggs walked through the camp, handing out rewards to his best fighters. Medals, bonus credits. A few even got their transfer requests approved. Then came James Carter. He was not the highest-ranking soldier, but he had done something no one else dared. He saved an entire squad from being wiped out by alien mines. People whispered about him being a hero. "Carter," said Commander Briggs, stopping in front of him. "We have something special for you." James raised an eyebrow. "Sir?" The commander turned and pointed. Two guards dragged a small cage forward. Inside it was not a weapon or treasure, it was a girl, alien, tiny, thin arms, pale blue skin. She wore a torn cloth and a thick metal collar around her neck. Her eyes were large and violet, filled with fear. Her legs were chained. James's breath caught. "A reward?" he whispered. "A pet," said the commander with a smirk. "From the enemy's collection. They called her Unit Z4. We figured you'd like her, loyal, quiet, fully trained." People around clapped, laughed. One soldier even said, "Don't forget to teach her tricks, Carter." But James didn't laugh. He walked toward the cage and knelt down. The girl flinched and moved to the corner, shaking like a leaf. He looked into her eyes. She was terrified. This wasn't a pet. This wasn't a gift. This was a prisoner. James stood. "I'll take her," he said quietly. The guards handed him a small remote and a datapad. "Collar control and info, don't lose it." As he picked her up gently, her thin fingers tried to hide her face. She didn't struggle. She didn't cry. She simply obeyed, like someone used to pain. Back in his quarters, James placed the girl on a soft seat. She didn't sit. She knelt on the floor, head down. "What's your name?" he asked softly. No answer. He knelt too, trying not to scare her. "Can you understand me?" She blinked once, a slow, scared nod. "Do you have a name?" She pointed to her collar. James leaned in. It had letters etched on it. Z4. "That's not a name," he whispered. "That's a tag." He reached for the collar, but the girl recoiled. Her arms went up as if ready for a hit. James froze. Had someone hurt her every time they touched the collar? "It's okay," he said slowly. "I'm not going to hurt you." He moved to the table and brought back some bread and clean water. When he placed it in front of her, she didn't move. "Eat," he said kindly. She stared at the bread, then at him, unsure. When he nodded again, she finally picked it up with shaking hands. One small bite. Then she started to cry. Not loud, just tears running down her cheeks, as if she didn't remember what kindness felt like. James sat quietly and watched her eat. Something deep inside him burned, not anger, but something worse. Guilt. Humans had won the war. But what had they become? Later that night, James couldn't sleep. He opened the datapad given to him. It had files about the girl. Species. Unknown. Age, approx 9 human years. Status, war captive. Class pet. Behavior, submissive. Nonverbal. Collared, yes. Kill switch active. Notes, shows signs of emotional bonding. Monitor closely. Kill switch. He tapped the remote. A small red button. Blinked, terminate. James stared at it in horror. One press, and she would die instantly. He looked over to the bed where the alien girl now slept, curled up like a frightened animal. How many others had pressed that button? And why had the command included the word bonding? Had she tried to love her past owners and been punished for it? The next morning, James walked over to her again. She sat up fast, hands folded, head low, still in chains, still silent. "Hey," he said gently. "Can you tell me your name?" "A real one." She opened her mouth, but no words came. Just a whisper. A sound like Zara. He repeated. She nodded slowly. Her eyes were wet. James reached out and gently touched her hand. She didn't pull away this time. "You're not a pet," he said firmly. "You're not a reward." She blinked. "You're a person, and I'm going to help you." Zara looked at him like she didn't believe it. Then, for the first time, she smiled. Faint, scared, but real. And James knew in that moment he could never return her. He would protect her no matter the cost, even if it meant betraying everything he had ever served. Eyes that silently pleaded. The next morning, James woke up to silence. The small alien girl, Zara, was already awake. She sat in the corner of the room exactly where she had slept, arms wrapped tightly around her knees. Her violet eyes followed every movement James made. But she said nothing. She made no sound, not even a whisper. James approached her slowly, carrying a warm blanket. "You don't have to sit on the floor," he said gently. "It's okay." Zara just stared. Her eyes were strange, so deep and full of emotion. She didn't speak, but James could feel something through them. Like she was begging him to understand something but couldn't find the words. He knelt down beside her. "Do you want to go outside? Just for a little walk? No cages, no collars, just you and me." Zara looked down at her collar. Her fingers trembled. James noticed it too. That thick metal ring around her neck, it wasn't just a chain, it was fear made solid. A reminder she was owned. He clenched his fist. No child should ever wear something like that. James took her outside, past a few curious soldiers. He had wrapped her in a spare coat and kept her close. He didn't care about the looks people gave him. Some chuckled, some whispered. One soldier even smirked. "Did she fetch your slippers yet?" James didn't reply. But Zara shrank behind him like she had been punished for laughter before. When they reached a quiet spot near the edge of the camp, James sat on a log. Zara stood beside him silently. He pulled out some fruit and placed one in her hand. She hesitated, then sat on the ground instead of beside him. That's when he noticed it. Every time she accepted food, she looked guilty, as if she thought kindness came with a price. He spoke softly. "Zara, you're safe now. You don't have to earn anything. You don't have to obey me." She blinked at him. Her lips trembled, but she still didn't speak. Later, that night, James decided to learn more about her. The datapad they gave him had files, but one folder was locked, classified. He wasn't supposed to open it. He did anyway. Inside were recordings, videos. His blood ran cold. Zara in a glass cage. Zara being trained to bow. Zara being shocked with electric pulses when she failed to follow orders. She had been treated like a lab animal. Or worse. In one video, she tried to hug a handler. The man slapped her. She didn't try again. James shut the pad and slammed it down, his heart pounding. He turned to look at her. She was sitting on the bed now, legs swinging slowly. Her eyes watched him, silent again. But this time there was something different in them. She wasn't just afraid. She was waiting for something. Something she never got before. Permission to trust. James walked over and sat beside her. "I saw what they did to you," he whispered. "I'm sorry. You didn't deserve that." Zara looked away, but slowly, very slowly, she leaned her head against his shoulder. It was the first time she touched him on her own. His body froze. He didn't move, afraid he might scare her away. She stayed like that for a full minute, maybe two. Then, just above a whisper, she spoke. "Why, no hurt?" Her voice was soft, strained, like she hadn't spoken in years. James's eyes burned. "Because you're not something to hurt," he said. "You're someone to protect." She looked up at him. Her eyes were wet again. And for the second time in 2 days, she smiled. But peace wouldn't last. An hour later, James received a warning on his datapad. Command notice. Behavior review required your pet shows irregular attachment signs. Excessive emotional interaction is not recommended. Please confirm conditioning settings. Failure to maintain standard obedience protocols may result in reassignment of subject. James's hands trembled. They were watching him. They were watching her. Zara, unaware of the message, played with the empty fruit wrapper like it was a toy. She finally looked happy. And now, they wanted to take her back? James made a decision. He reached into his drawer and pulled out a toolkit. Then, very slowly, he called Zara over. She came, a little nervous. He pointed to her collar. "I'm going to try something, okay?" Zara's eyes widened. Her hand shot up protectively, gripping the collar. "No hurt," she whispered. "I'm not hurting you. I'm setting you free." Tears ran down her cheeks. As James worked to disable the internal chip inside the collar, his fingers shook. One wrong move and the failsafe would trigger. Boom. Instant death. He worked in silence. Every wire, every microchip mattered. Zara sat frozen. Then, click, the collar loosened. It didn't fall off yet, but the chip was gone. Zara touched her neck. Then, she did something that broke James completely. She dropped the collar and hugged him. Tight, warm, desperate, like someone who finally found a home. The hidden collar code. The collar was still in James's hands. Cold, heavy, now harmless, but still a symbol of everything Zara had suffered. Zara sat beside him on the bed, breathing fast, arms wrapped around herself. Her neck was bare now. No more buzzing chip, no red light, no invisible threat ready to kill her, but she still looked afraid. James placed the collar in a metal box and locked it away. "It's over," he said. "No more chains." Zara didn't answer. Instead, she pointed to the locked drawer. "Others have more," she whispered. James turned slowly. "What do you mean?" She touched her own chest, then tapped her head. Then she pressed her tiny palm against his. That's when he realized Zara was trying to say something deeper. Something she couldn't say with words. "There's more inside you?" he guessed. She nodded. That night, James scanned the collar with advanced tools he borrowed from the ship's maintenance bay. What he found made his heart stop. Inside the collar, behind, the kill switch was a hidden microdrive. Encrypted, military grade, not just for control, it was storing data. Lots of it. Encryption key. Z sovereign language. Unknown access level. Restricted to command core or authorized genetic signature contents. 82.4 TB. Biological memory logs, voice patterns, cultural maps. He stared at the screen. This wasn't a tracker. It was a vault. And the key to open it was Zara. James turned to her gently. "Zara, can you help me unlock this?" She looked scared. Her fingers twisted the blanket in her lap. "No. I not remember," she said. "Try," he whispered. "It might be important. About your people, your past." Zara closed her eyes. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then, the tablet lit up with a glowing symbol, a symbol James had never seen, like a sun wrapped in vines pulsing with soft blue light. Access, granted genetic, match, royal line. Princess designate. James stepped back. "Princess?" He looked at Zara. She stared at the screen too, shocked like she didn't understand what she'd just done. "Zara," he said carefully. "Who are you?" The file opened slowly. It showed a hologram, thousands of tiny lights forming an image in the air. A planet with 3 rings, ships flying over its surface. Alien cities made of crystal towers and flowing energy. Then, fire, explosions, ships falling, voices screaming in a language James couldn't understand, and finally, Zara, as a baby, being taken, not adopted, Stolen. Zara grabbed his arm. Her eyes were wide with panic. I no want see, she cried. I no want go back. James pulled her close. You won't, I promise. But deep inside, he knew what this meant. Zara was more than just a rescued child. She was part of something big, something ancient. And now, if anyone found out the collar's secrets, they would come for her. Not to free her, to erase her. The next day, James tried to act normal. He gave Zara a small set of clothes. Real clothes, not the cloth rags she had worn for months. She smiled. At the soft fabric. It was blue, like her skin. You look like a star, James said, and Zara laughed softly for the first time. But just when the moment felt warm, his door alarm beeped. Visitor. Military. James hid the collar and tablet fast, then opened the door. Sergeant Venn walked in. Cold eyes. Hands behind his back. We've received word about your pet, he said. James's body tensed. Venn continued. Command noticed a signal spike last night. Unusual tech signature. From your room. James forced a calm voice. Must have been interference, old ship parts lying around. Venn didn't blink. I hope so. Because if I find out you're tampering with restricted alien tech, there will be consequences. Then he turned to Zara. She had hidden behind James, shaking. Venn smirked. Still jumpy, huh? Maybe we should take her back for retraining. James stepped between them. She's not going anywhere. Not your call, Carter. It is now. For a second, silence. Then Venn smiled coldly. Watch yourself, hero. He left. James shut the door and turned to Zara. She was breathing fast, eyes filled with terror. He dropped to one knee. Zara, listen to me. We have to leave, tonight. She shook her head. No ship. No go. Yes, we will, he said firmly. I'll steal one. Small scout vessel, just enough for two. Where? She whispered. James looked at the tablet, still glowing with Zara's family symbol. We'll follow this. Maybe it'll lead us to your home, or the people who are still alive. Zara nodded, tears in her eyes. Then she reached up and touched James's face. James, stay. He took her hand, always. Escape protocol. The stars outside the military outpost looked peaceful, but inside James's quarters it was anything but. Zara sat silently on the bed, her small fingers clutched around the edge of a blanket. Her eyes were fixed on the locked door. She wasn't speaking. She wasn't crying. But she was shaking. She had felt it too. The change, the tension. Something was coming. James was already packing supplies, a stolen map chip, a med kit, emergency rations, and one last thing, the collar, still deactivated, but carrying the data of her hidden royal past. He locked it in a steel case. Zara watched him silently, then spoke with a soft voice. They know? Not yet, James replied, but they will soon. She nodded. There was no fear in her voice anymore, only a quiet understanding. James tapped the side of his boot and revealed a tiny device he had stolen during repairs, a fleet clearance bypass key. It could open one ship, just one, and only for a few minutes before security blocked it. He knelt down in front of Zara. Zara, I need you to trust me. When I say run. You don't stop, no matter what happens. She stared at him for a long time, then did something she had never done before. She reached out and took his hand first. Together? She asked. James's heart ached. He nodded. Together. 2 hours later, the lights in the camp flickered. It was scheduled maintenance time, just 3 minutes of power reroute once per month. James had waited for this moment. He grabbed Zara's hand. Now, they slipped into the hall. No one saw them. Not yet. Down the corridor, past sleeping quarters, through the cold docking bay, but at the last hallway, a voice called out, Carter? James turned. Sergeant Venn. Of course. Venn's eyes narrowed. He saw Zara, He saw the bag, the urgency, and he reached for his comm. James acted fast. Punch, one clean hit to the jaw. Then dropped like a rock. Zara flinched but didn't scream. They ran again. At Dock 7, James slammed the bypass key into the console. Red lights flashed. Access granted. He threw the bag inside. Zara climbed in after him. "Hold tight," he said, as the hatch sealed shut. But just before liftoff, the alarm sounded. Unauthorized launch detected. Soldiers spilled into the bay like ants. Laser rifles raised. James hit the throttle. The ship blasted forward, smashing through the hangar shield. Zara screamed and held on to James as the stars spun around them. Space swallowed them whole. Behind them, radio signals screamed. Return the vessel immediately or face destruction. James turned them off. He focused on the stars ahead, but Zara was looking back. Her voice broke through the silence. "You fought them. For me?" James glanced at her. Her eyes weren't afraid anymore. They were amazed. "I fought," he said, "because no one else did, and you deserved better." Zara looked at her hands, then at his. Then she smiled, but it wasn't over. The military ships had already launched behind them, fast, sleek, and built for pursuit. The stolen ship was small, old, meant for scouts, not speed. "We're not fast enough," James said. Zara stood. Her small hands touched the glowing screen near the pilot seat. And then something strange happened. The controls flickered. The ship responded. Not like before, faster, smoother. James stared. "What are you doing?" Zara didn't answer, but her hands moved as if the ship understood her, like she had done it before. The engines roared, the stars blurred, and just like that, they disappeared into the black, vanishing beyond the enemy's radar. James fell back, into his seat breathless. Zara turned to him. "I remember," she said quietly. James blinked. "Remember what?" Zara looked out the window, her violet eyes glowing faintly. "My people, my planet, my mother's hands, my name. It was not just Zara." She placed a hand over her heart. "My name is Zariel Enkael, daughter of the Queen Light, keeper of the Star Blood." James swallowed hard. "Star Blood?" Zara nodded. "My body speaks to machines. It's how they kept me locked. But it's also how I will lead." James didn't know what to say. She was no longer just a scared girl with a collar. She was someone the universe had forgotten. And now, she was free. But how long before the universe came to take her again? He reached over and gripped her shoulder. "We'll find a safe place. A place where no one will ever hurt you again." Zara looked at him. "No," she said softly. "We'll find my people, and I'll bring them home." James smiled. "You're not just a passenger anymore, are you?" Zara's voice was strong. "I'm the storm they tried to chain. The hug that broke him." The stars outside the stolen ship drifted slowly now. After hours of running, James had finally cut the engines and switched to stealth mode. No signals, no noise, just darkness. Inside the ship, the lights were dim. The hum of the power core was soft like a heartbeat. Zara sat curled up beside the front window, watching the stars like old friends. She hadn't spoken in over an hour, not because she was afraid, but because something inside her was changing. James leaned, back in the pilot's seat, exhaustion pulling at his bones. His eyes were bloodshot. His hands shook. Not from fear. He had left fear behind at the military base. Now he only felt the weight of what he had done. He had betrayed orders, stolen a ship, assaulted a superior officer, all for a child the galaxy had labeled as a pet. He looked at her. She was no pet. She was a survivor. The datapad beeped once. He picked it up. Message incoming, unknown signal detected. Origin, classified coordinates, not human code. Name, Heir of Flame. James stared at the message. It wasn't a warning, it was a greeting. Someone, or something, had recognized Zara's presence in the stars, and they were calling out. He turned to her. Zara. She blinked. I know. I felt it. You felt it? Zara placed her small hand over her heart. It's like a thread. Pulling me. Do you know where it leads? She nodded slowly. To the others. Or maybe just one. Someone waiting. James wasn't sure what scared him more, that someone was waiting, or that Zara had always known. Suddenly the ship jolted. A system alert flashed across the screen. Warning, hull breach detected, rear panel damaged, auto repair failure, life support compromised. No. James jumped from his seat. He ran to the back. Something had struck them, probably a leftover mine drifting in space. The panel was cracked. Air was leaking slowly. They had about 20 minutes, maybe less. James came back to the cockpit. His hands were dirty, his shirt damp with sweat. Zara looked at him quietly. I can fix it, he said, forcing a smile. Just need some sealant and a power weld. He tried to open the toolbox. Zara touched his hand. Don't lie. James froze. He didn't turn toward her. Zara, I know you're scared. Her voice was quiet, small, but strong. James sat down defeated. I didn't want you to panic. I'm not panicking, she said. Then she stood and walked to him, and before he could say anything else, she hugged him. It wasn't a soft hug. It wasn't the careful, cautious touch she gave when she was scared. This was different. She wrapped her arms around him tight, like she was holding the whole world together, like if she let go, it would all fall apart. James stiffened. Then he melted into it, his arms folded around her. He buried his face in her hair, and he cried, not loudly, just silent tears. Hot and heavy, because in that moment he realized something. She wasn't just someone he rescued, she had rescued him too. After what felt like forever, Zara pulled back and looked into his eyes. You gave me freedom, she said. Now I give it back to you. James blinked. What do you mean? Zara walked to the control panel. She placed her hand on the screen. It lit up instantly, but this time the ship did more than respond. It healed. Pipes bent back into place. Lights blinked to full. Systems rebooted. The ship wasn't just following Zara's touch, it was obeying her blood. James stood, stunned. How are you doing that? Zara's violet eyes glowed faintly. I am of the star line. My people. We built ships that listen to us. We don't fly them, we speak to them. The crack in the rear panel sealed. Life support returned to normal. James stared in disbelief. You saved us. Zara smiled. You saved me first. A new signal appeared on the monitor. Not human. Ancient. Script. Zara looked at it and whispered, That's them. The people you remember? No, she said. The ones who remember me. James stepped beside her. What now? Zara took his hand again. Now, we go home, but not just mine. She looked up at him. I want it to be yours too. In that moment, James realized the truth. This wasn't just a mission anymore. This wasn't about escape. This was about belonging. And for the first time in his life, he finally felt like he did, all because of a hug from an alien girl the galaxy had called a pet. But she was so much more. She was a storm, she was a light, and she was his family now. Fire in the stars, the silence of space was no longer peaceful. It was waiting. The stolen scout ship floated in the dark, surrounded by nothing but stars and dead air. But James could feel it. A pressure, a tremble beneath the surface. Zara felt it too. She stood at the front panel, her hand still glowing softly from when she awakened the ship. Her eyes were locked on a strange golden point in the distance, something even the ship's sensors couldn't fully explain. It's calling me, she whispered. James stepped beside her. What is it? She didn't blink. A gate. A sky door. Only those of my blood can open it. And behind it, Zara looked up at him. My people, or what's left of them. Suddenly, alarms screamed. Warning, incoming vessels, 3 human. Attack ships, full armor, live weapons interception, ETA. 3 minutes, James clenched his fists. They found us. Zara turned calmly toward the pilot seat. Let me handle it. You've never flown in a real battle. Zara touched the controls. They lit up like fire. I don't fly, she said. I speak. Outside, the 3 human ships closed in. Their commander barked orders. Target stolen scout vessel, hostile entity aboard. Orders are to capture or eliminate. Inside, Zara's voice echoed through the cockpit. Not loud, but powerful. She spoke words James didn't understand. Not English, not any Earth language. It was something older, alien, rhythmic, commanding. The ship answered. It groaned, shifted, transformed. Panels folded. Wings extended. Light shot from the hull like lightning trapped in glass. James backed away in awe. Zara, what are you doing? She turned, eyes glowing silver blue. Speaking its true name. The first attack hit, a laser blast meant to rip through the scout ship's engines, but instead of exploding, the ship twisted, bent light, warped gravity. The beam passed through a false image, an illusion created by the ship's new defenses. The human ships missed. James laughed in disbelief. They don't know what this ship really is. Zara nodded. They see a stolen box. They don't see the dragon inside it. The enemy ships tried again. This time, missiles. But the scout vessel spun like a living creature. Faster, sharper, impossible to track. The stars around it blurred as Zara raised her hand and whispered, "Sear them." A beam of white-hot plasma, fired from the side, silent, pure, precise. One enemy ship exploded instantly. James watched through the rear screen as the fire danced across the void. Fire in the stars, he murmured. Zara didn't smile. It's just the beginning. Another ship attacked from behind. This time it managed to land a hit. The impact shook the cabin. Zara fell to one knee, gasping. James rushed to her. Zara, she held up a hand. I'm okay, but the ship is tied to me. If I hurt, it does too. James stared at her, realizing something terrible. They weren't just bonded emotionally. She was linked physically, mentally, to the vessel. If they kept fighting, she could die. Stop, James said. We'll run. Zara looked up, breathing hard. If we run, they'll keep chasing. Forever. She wiped her face, stood up, and touched the glowing controls again. James tried to speak, but her voice rose. She spoke the same strange language, again, stronger this time. Outside, the ship opened its rear wings fully. The third human attacker tried to fire, too late. Zara's ship turned completely in mid-space, flipped over, and struck with a full energy wave. The last ship vanished. No explosion. Just light. Gone. Silence returned. The ship floated again, glowing softly. Zara collapsed into the seat, drained. James caught her before she hit the floor. Hey, breathe, he said, heart racing. I'm okay, she whispered. Just tired. You did it. You saved us. No, she said. I saved you. And then, for the first time since the escape, she smiled. Not a scared smile. Not a polite one. A proud one. James carried her to the sleeping pod and tucked her in. She held onto his sleeve. You won't leave? She asked. He shook his head. Never. Hours passed. The ship floated onward toward the glowing gate ahead. James sat alone in the cockpit. He stared at the stars, then at the girl sleeping behind him. Fire had followed them through space. But so had something else. Hope. The secret of her bloodline. The gate was unlike anything James had ever seen. It hovered in the void like a crack in reality, spinning rings of light, ancient alien symbols etched in glowing silver. It pulsed gently, like a living heart between stars. The ship slowed as it neared. Inside the cockpit, Zara stood silently. Her eyes reflected the swirling gate as if she'd seen it in dreams. Maybe she had. James watched her. Is this it? Zara nodded slowly. The last sky door. It was hidden when my world fell. Only royal blood can find it again. James stepped beside her. And you're the last royal. She looked at him. No, I was the last child. But now, I'm something more. The ship responded to her thoughts. Panels slid aside, revealing a circular control ring. Zara stepped forward barefoot and placed her palm in the center. A sharp light shot upward. She didn't flinch. The gate answered. It began to open, not physically, but with energy. A rip in the void widened, revealing a world behind it. Not a planet. A refuge. A hidden space. A place untouched by war. James stared through the viewport. Floating cities built from crystal and light. Blue-green fields. Waterfalls hanging upside down in the sky. Ships shaped like wings of flame. And there, waiting at the edge of a sky bridge. People tall, glowing faintly. Some looked like Zara. Others older, more alien, dressed in flowing robes and armor unlike anything human. Zara gasped. They're alive. James smiled. Your people. Zara took his hand. Our people now. The ship landed softly. As the hatch opened, warm wind swept in, scented with wildflowers and something James couldn't name. Zara stepped out first. The EQ. Aliens didn't rush to her, they knelt. Dozens of them, heads bowed. One elder stepped forward, her eyes misted with age and memory. She reached out, touching Zara's cheek. You carry the Queen's light, the elder whispered. And her will. And her courage. Zara's lips trembled. I don't know if I can be what she was. You already are, the elder said. You lived when all others were broken. You forgave when others would hate. She turned to James. And you freed her? James shifted uncomfortably. I just did what felt right. You did what no empire could, she replied. You reminded a lost child she was never a thing. Zara stepped closer to James. He's not just a hero. He's family. They were brought to a tall hall of memory, walls filled with floating lights. Each light was a voice, a story, a piece of Zara's people's past. She touched one orb, and a vision appeared, her mother, tall, strong, holding baby Zara as fire fell around them. I'll hide her. Her mother's voice echoed. She will not die. She will return when the stars are kind again. The vision ended. Zara looked at James. She died to protect me. And you lived to honor her, he said. You're not just the last. You're the first of what comes. Next. Later, the elders asked her, do you wish to lead? Zara didn't answer right away. She sat under a starlit tree with James, the alien wind blowing through her hair. I'm not ready, she whispered. James smiled. Neither was I when I met you. Zara looked up. Will you stay? Even if I become something more? James didn't hesitate. I was never staying for the stars, he said. I stayed for you. Tears filled her eyes. She hugged him again. Different. Now. Not as a scared girl, but as someone who chose him. At the edge of the refuge, a monument was built. A collar. Cracked. Empty. Placed on a stone pedestal. The words beneath read, she was given to be owned, but she rose to be loved, and she broke. Her chains with a single hug. Years later, a new fleet of light-bearing ships traveled through space, not for war but peace. At the center of it all stood Queen Zariel, the storm heir, and beside her, always, the human who never asked to be part of destiny, but chose love over orders, and that choice lit the stars anew. The end.